So you guys saw Lane's starting 11 for the Gold Cup, what he projected to be. I took a different approach and wanted to look at it from a standpoint of if they treated this, say, maybe like they've done in previous years. So I'm giving you the warning. I'm doing it from that perspective. I don't necessarily think it'll be that, but y'all, let me know in the comments below. Anyways, roll a quick clip and let's get to this. Okay, so that's yours. So I am working under the assumption that you'll still have some regulars.
See, that's how I feel as well.
But I don't know how. But because of it, I that's how you're operating it. I think they need to win.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't think it's impossible for them to win the Gold Cup. And I know this is I'm a contradiction right now. We have not taken it seriously by not sending a strong team. So let me send a not strong team by standards and see how they do here. But I think it's a perfect opportunity to see them against. The problem is you're either going to test them against your Wales of the world, your Romania of the world, etc., or you're going to test them against CONCACAF teams that will actually get under their skin in that sense and see what you can actually do. And to me, CONCACAF is the best proving ground because it's going to be uncomfortable, right? It's not a real game until the grass is up to your ankles and you get hit by something and it splashes and you don't want to ask questions. It's not a real game until that happens. And so let me give them that. So I think the way I see it right now, and until proven otherwise, that's just how I'm going to think. I think they're going to treat the Canadian Shield. I think there'll be some overlap, but I don't think they're going to have as much overlap just because they still have the friendlies and they're building off from there. So I think they will have some opportunities. I don't think it'll be as strong as the team as I would hope. I think there will be some rotation and some players for that. So if this is what they're playing for the Canadian Shield, I would not be mad at all. What I think their Gold Cup would look like, I think the Gold Cup will look a lot different because I think this is where maybe the goalkeeper might be your safest spot where it's either if Max is still trying to regain his form, you give it to Max. So that would be the first swap I would look at. But I'm treating this like Canada treated the Gold Cup last time. And so let the fun begin, which also means bring on Max. And hopefully Max doesn't leave halfway through and then, the other keeper takes over. I would love for this to be Owen Goodman. I would love for it to be him.
Yeah.
I don't think it will be, but I think he'll be in this camp. I think it'd be great to have him in this camp, and then you give him a game in the group stage, depending on what the group stage looks like, or you just give him a game and see what he looks like. But I'll go with give him a little bit of veteran leadership from the back. And so I'm going in goalie. I'm going Max Crapo will be my goalie. That would be it. And now
the fun begins.
The fun begins. All right.
Prepare for most of my players to be eliminated.
Gonna take care of you.
As I expected to see this happen.
Terrible. No, like trash. No, I'm joking. I love these players. No, I think I'm wondering who. My argument with this team is I think their World Cup roster is pretty much set. I think if you're bringing 4 center backs, I know who the 4 center backs will be. If you're bringing wingers, it'll come down to health. I think for the most part, their center backs and their fullbacks are pretty much set. Not to my liking, but I think they're set. I think their back line, the top 8 is set. There's no question. So with that being said, my 2 center backs would be good old Jamie Knight LaBelle on the one side. And on the other, we've already seen him play. He got a start at the Copa against Uruguay. So Luc de Pujol, come on down.
Okay.
I think he does it. I think that would be I think for a Gold Cup, you give 2 young center backs the opportunity to pair off with themselves and play well. I think that makes sense. I think that would be what they would go for. Or that's what I would do. Let's not.
Okay.
I'm not going to assume I know what to do. This would be my ideal goal
I feel like Marsh wouldn't go that young together. I think he has a trust in LDF, but I don't. I feel like, see, if I'm going with that was what I expected. I think what I would go with would be Waterman with one of the two.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that would be the thing.
Yeah. I'm just not sure if Bombito and Cornelius are both going to be there. And if they are, then they start. But what I'd like to see is Waterman next to one of the two young ones.
And yes, probably based off of recent calls to be Waterman by Knight LaBelle, but he gave Defuge, like, who did Defuge start against with? Now I'm going to look this up. Now I need to know. Canada versus Uruguay.
Might even be. There's so much rotation that game. I don't even remember who started.
I got it here. Lineups. He was beside Bombito.
Okay.
So he was the Cornelius replacement. So whoever is the faster of the two beside Waterman, that's what it's gonna be. So I think that will be that. Yeah, that could work. But I'll just go with what I would like them to do.
Because you do your lineup. Lineup.
This is my world. You're just living in it. Okay, at left.
This should be fun.
Oh, it's going to be a question. I got to make sure this person is where I think he is.
Zorhan Basong.
It's Zorhan season, boys. Let's get him. I wouldn't be surprised. That would be probably a player that you would see in the lineup.
If he can keep playing well. I would agree.
But now this is about to start to look like the wish list of like potential players. It's going to start looking like that. And I get it.
I get excited and see what you're really cooking
I just need to make sure. Okay. Let's go to this team. I want to make sure.
I'm just trying to think of who you're even looking at left back here.
I forget if they're right or left. So that's why I'm like,
Rogier?
I think. Okay, no, he's right. So he would be right, but that would be. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Ideally, so you can go balance, and then you can go on one. On the left side, I'm going to put Sam.
Oh, he's hoping for some fitness.
Let me dream. Let me dream.
You're more of an optimist than I am, at least.
Indeed. So a left side, that would be Sam. And now this is as I know what my midfield. I know what I want my midfield to be. Right. It's I want Seeger in my midfield.
I saw that coming. Yep.
But Chouanier for the Gold Cup wouldn't be a bad shout.
I have my guess who this right back will be.
Who's your guess?
Zachary Broguillard?
No.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you're one of the European fanatics who are going to say he needs to be in there because he's playing in Europe. I didn't think he would be, but it was just.
To me, this is straight. Boy, you better get your act together and you better get your form here. I know your team isn't playing well right now, but boy, I think you could make me breathe a lot easier if you just looked good, and that's Shaquille Marshall-Rudy.
Boy, is that a young back line.
It is, and it is. I don't deny that. Right? I do not deny that.
Type stuff here. It's like we're playing Football Manager.
This is my world. We're all living in it. Let me live this life. But that would be my back line. And then it's basically familiar with Montreal, maybe? The Montreal I once played in Montreal and Vancouver. Yes. But I think this could do well. And then in the middle, the master of the back pass. Yeah, you got to recycle that buildup. You got to recycle that buildup, man. Cycle it back. Start afresh. That's what we're going to do. Other one here, you said the name. I would love to see him get this Gold Cup here. And it is Nathan Saliba. I think, he got the armband in their last game, which that got Loris Courtois fired, but I'm sure it's not causation there.
Fired,
but Nathan Saliba, I think, could be well suited to have that. Nelson as your left mid, I would leave there.
Oh, I got one right. I'll take it.
I would leave that there. Now, the question to me is, what do I do at left mid? Because I think you have options. I think this player should be brought in for a left mid, because if he's as good as he looked at the youth sides, yes, I'm giving it away. I think he could be a good player, but it comes down to where you see him playing. I think this player played as a 9, but I think he might be better suited as a winger, in the same place that I think Theo is a winger stuck in a striker's body. And so it's like, look at the size, look at the tools, play him up top. And we're just like, no, he's a winger by trade, guys. Just, I mean, I know he played cam too, but for me, the right side, if I wonder if he should be there. Let me look him up. So, Lopez, Santi, you're not
Santiago,
here?
maybe?
Let's try Santiago.
You never know.
Okay. Nothing. Come on. Nothing. Where's the flag? He's gotta be here.
He's like that.
He's gotta be here. Not even a Mexican.
Maybe a
Lopez.
Oh
nope. That hurts. But we're
maybe
gonna put a Lopez there, even though it's not the Lopez, but it's Santiago Lopez. That's who I would put out. That's who I would put out wide. And then I would have either Promise or Daniel starting, but the other 9 would actually be not. I wouldn't platoon Promise and Daniel, because I think I think Daniel is a bit more rounded. Promise feels like a good 9 who can play anywhere on the pitch. I think both are good in transition. But if I'm looking for a player who can fill in the Jonathan David role, it's Jason Russell role.
Okay, gotcha. So were you going to say DeAndre Kerr for a second? I had to brace myself, but
listen, I love TFC, but right now they're not. They've done too much to me, right? And this would be it. This would be my starting 11 for the Gold Cup. You have a little bit of flexibility here. This is Santi, not that Lopez. Saliba and Seager in the midfield. Waterman is an option there. Russell Rowe there. And then it's a bunch of kids and Max Crepo and probably Junior Hoylett being like, hey, let's settle this down, boys. But I would love to see all these players included, because I think they could all offer, and any of them could be that player who becomes the Schaffelberg who emerges, the Tejan who emerges, Jonathan David and who emerge in this. Before that, Alphonso Davies. There's always been a young player who has emerged for Canada at the Gold Cup. And I don't think it's going to be any different here. The question will be, who is it going to be? But I would love for them to have all these. I would love for this to be my starting 11. I mean, I'm asking for the youth movement, and this is like the last push for it. But this would be I would take a stronger side for the Canadian Shield, and then for the Gold Cup, I'd still have, if I can have as many of these players in the Canadian Shield roster, I would have them get some spot moments, give them some cameos, give them some good run, and then with that experience, you then take that all the way to the Gold Cup and you try to play from there. And that would be my 11 for the Gold Cup. But your 11 for the only place where we differ is you think they'll bring the same roster to the Gold Cup as they do the Canadian Shield. I hope they do that, but I'm going for a more youthful look at it. And that's my 11. You guys let me